going to kill somebody that's already dead? How are we going to kill somebody that's already dead?
It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. None of those risks have been seen. At least not by anyone who still remains alive.
given to you. You are a robot, that's all you are.
2, 1.
Oh, hi. If you can hear us, because my internet upload speed is currently 0.56. I am running 0.56. I am running a 56K modem upstream today. Because
Nice.
I know, right? Because it's weathery out, and the weather is making my streams act crazy. So I'm currently at 64.8% drop frames, so we're looking pretty good. So welcome to Tangents. Let's get off the rails by discussing how stupid my internet is right now. They just upped like the bandwidth too, and apparently they missed. So anyway, hi, I'm Andrew. With me tonight are, as usual, Christoph. How are you, Christoph?
I'm doing
Good.
well.
What's new and exciting in your world?
I bought Eventide Black Hole plugin.
Really?
And it's beautiful.
Nice.
So yeah, it was on sale for $39 instead of $199.
That's a good deal.
And
Oh, that's nice.
it's been one of those shortcomings in my rig that I don't really have any good reverbs, and now I have two.
Lovely.
So
That's cool.
yeah, so I have the Eventide, so that leaves the only ones I need to get now are a Lexicon emulation, and I'd really love to have Altiverb,
Ultraverb's lovely.
but super expensive.
Yes, that's why it's lovely.
Yeah. So that and just lots of DJing.
How's the DJing going?
It's going well. I did a benefit on Sunday, and then this weekend I'm doing Thursday, and then I'm doing Stimulate Friday, and then I'm doing another festival after Stimulate Friday night called Virtual Temple.
Nice. Excellent.
That's a lot.
Yep.
Keeps you out of trouble.
And I got another festival the following Friday too.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm making ones of dollars.
And that's the important thing, because if you were doing this outside of Zoom, you'd be making .1s of dollars.
Yeah.
Making tens of funds, though.
Yes. Tens of funds.
Funder dollar bills.
Those are the best.
I'll see myself
Get the
out.
Jeff, what's new in your world?
I
It
painted.
looks great.
It's I'm living into my 1990s dance club fantasies here in my studio, and then this is the big one. I mean, everybody, like, sit down. This is a big
My body's
announcement. Okay, I got colored knobs for my SP,
Fuck.
and it sounds so much better
I can
now.
imagine.
Yeah, I added like seven or 8 horsepower to it, just the knobs, which was pretty cool because now it does. It's like a 10-second quarter-mile device. That's about it. Just been.
So do you think that
just
added?
been-
Do you think that added any like HP to the overall kill factor of the SP?
Oh yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's funny. I bought knobs for it, which is the dumbest thing to buy for any synthesizer or device. Like, I fully admit that buying knobs is the dumbest thing you can do. But the ones that come on it are they're so wheedly. Like, for anybody who hasn't ever seen these things, they're just teeny. And so getting ones that are for my giant, powerful man hands it's a hell of an upgrade. That's it.
You know,
painting knobs. Painting knobs.
Every piece of like DSI now, Novation or whoever they are nowadays, and like when I got the Tempest, I replaced the knobs on it with Prophet knobs, and then like I did the same thing with the Tetra, because the knobs that came with it, you'd expect like a drum machine that cost $2,000 to have good knobs, right? It didn't. It had garbage knobs. You had to pay another $60 to get like decent knobs.
Gross.
Yeah.
Well, I would give a plug to this company. I don't know. It's a company called DJ Tech
Oh, they're
Tools.
great. Their DJ Fighter is awesome.
Yeah, the MIDI Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? Yeah. It was. I mean, the only thing I've ever bought from them is these $7.99 of knobs, and but they came crazy fast. They were really well packaged. I thought their site was easy to use, and they're of remarkably good quality for knobs. Like they feel stout and robust.
Nice.
So nice job, guys.
That's a good promotion right there.
Stout and robust.
Yes.
That's our motto at DJ Tech Tools.
That's our motto here at Tangents.
Ian Golden's site.
What's that, Christoph?
And that's Ian Golden's site. They put up lots of great tutorials and resources.
Absolutely.
For DJs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're very well respected.
Yeah, they're awesome. Christoph, what's new in your world? Christoph, we talked about that
We
already.
covered
Never
me.
mind. Justin, you're up.
Justin?
What's up?
Oh, not too terribly anything super new. Yeah, I'm happy to be using this beautiful microphone.
Yeah.
Care of Jeff, and hopefully I've changed my video setup. Everything's turned around, so adjusting to that new world order.
You look all professional with all your gear behind you and everything like that. Like.
Yeah, it's really because the monitor frame is so thin on that one. I didn't want to clip the dumb camera to it. No, there were other technical reasons, but such as I had no room on that desk because it's filled with things.
Yes,
but,
things.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the final stages of mixing this project. I'm about ready to send them to you to listen to. Actually,
awesome. I look forward to it.
Help me listen to these without my sonic boom effect in my current setup. But yeah, so that's a thing, and not much else. Managing to still stay cold even though it's 70 degrees in Chicago today.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's a 63 here right now in beautiful sunny Cleveland where it's raining. I was out in California last week, and I drove back with a cat in the car and a tarantula and a snake. That was fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They were all in cages except for the cat. The cat just slept the whole time like a baby.
So did you say tarantula snake or tarantula comma
tarantula,
snake? I just
comma snake.
Hold on. Hey Siri.
What's
a tarantula
snake?
If they crossbreed, I'm never leaving my house again.
Christoph,
actually, it lives in Australia. It's the state animal of Queensland.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that and the drop bears.
Yeah. But while I was out in California, I did a ambient track at the beach with the Deluge, with the microphone as an oscillator kind of thing, and that's going. I'm sending that over to Synthstrom to go up on the YouTube channel for the Deluge. So that's kind of cool.
That is so cool.
So would you say you're a fan of the Deluge, Andrew?
I would say that I am a little bit obsessed with the Deluge. Like,
I think you're like a level 10 magic user dervish or something.
That sounds.
I think you've gone
that sounds good. We'll go with that.
Sorry, I just made that.
That's okay. So yeah, other than that, I'm working on recording the new album. So for Plasma Blackout, and that's going along pretty well. And yeah, that's what I'm up to. So there we go. That's what's.
Is this album related to the? This is not your RPM.
This is the RPM album. Yeah, I'm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working with Lori on doing the vocals and stuff like that. So she's writing her lyrics and everything. I wrote all the music over the 9-day period of February, so now it's just slowly getting the lyrics done.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and then I'm tweaking songs and stuff like that too because I can't leave well enough alone. But I'll have to share it out with some folks and let y'all hear it. I'm kind of happy with it.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So let's jump into the news. We have a lot going on the past 2 weeks. It's been kind of crazy. I was going through and like removing some of the stories and stuff, but we still have a bunch in here because I'm going to try to combine a couple things together, and we can kind of talk about all of that at once. So that's exciting. So first of all, 2 DAWs are being updated. Woo! And that is Reason and BitWigg. Reason 12 and BitWigg 4. I am a huge fan of Reason. I cut my teeth on Reason, and I still use it to this day, especially now that they have it in the entire rack as a VST, because I can plug that into whatever, but I'll still just bust out just straight Reason and use it because I know it so well. So I will probably upgrade to the new version of Reason when it comes out, even though I don't feel like it's like a huge thing. They are doing some things that are nice. They are doing it so for once the Reason rack, you can zoom on it now, which you couldn't do before, which is kind of nice because being able to see all that stuff on a high resolution screen when the last time they updated those graphics was probably in 2004 is kind of a nice thing. It's got a new sampler in it that they say that you can explore and play back sounds in interesting ways. You can record stuff on the fly. You can, looks like you can just like live loop and stuff like that. So it's kind of like adding kind of an octatrack into Reason kind of thing. They're doing fully customizable combinators, which combinators are basically racks within the rack that you can put instruments into and combine them together to create brand new things. And a new browser. Ooh. So, I know they've recently went to a subscription model, but they're still doing standalone versions as well. They're going to be selling it as both part of the subscription as well as the standalone. So I'm kind of excited about that. BitWigg 4 got announced as well. So they do... That's coming up on here. I'm looking at the notes right now. They're doing a lot of stuff with comping inside the audio clips and stuff like that. Their operators, which are the thing that to me really stands out with BitWigg is these operator things and how you can modulate everything and LFO everything and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that they're most powerful with is just that piece of technology, and that's what makes them kind of stand apart from everybody else. But they're like doing things like adding chants and repeats and occurrences and recurrences to like looping, and that's going to be all modulatable. I don't know what expression spread is. That's a new thing.
Yeah, I didn't quite get that part either, what that one meant, but it seems that a lot of the DAWs are really getting on the comping bandwagon, which I think is great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's super duper useful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to see it popping up in more things for sure. But one of the things that I've always thought was pretty interesting about BitWigg, other than it being a very obvious, I mean, for anybody who isn't aware of this, BitWigg was coded and started by some Ableton alums, and it is very obviously related to Ableton in a number of ways when you look at it. But one of the things that I've always thought was kind of interesting about it is that it tends to cooperate with Linux for people, and there aren't a lot of really like native and powerful and usable DAWs for Linux. I think you can sort of get there with a lot of things, but you're a lot of times having to make pretty significant sacrifices for people who want to be working in an open source operating system.
Oh, absolutely.
And BitWigg is like it gets you a long ways there, I think, and they've come pretty far. It looks like BitWigg 4 is. I used BitWigg 2, and I thought it was pretty interesting and it was pretty good. But it just really couldn't hang with a lot of the other DAWs at that point. Mm-hmm. It just felt like it was missing too much and had just not been polished enough. Yeah. But it's really starting to look like it's coming together. And to your point, some of the things that they've been introducing, where it's starting to feel a little bit like a I don't know, maybe this is my just an ignorant perspective on it, but it's starting to feel to me like a little bit more of like a polished Ableton meets Reaper type of thing, where there's a ton of flexibility and this really high value placed on being able to, route anything to anything. And it's, I don't know, it seems pretty cool.
Yeah, I think
it's interesting to see a new alternative, something that's thinking a little differently.
Yeah, Justin and I worked with Reaper on the second RPM challenge that we did together.
Yeah,
and that was Reaper 2. And I think that the things that I really liked about it were things like the modulation ability, because that's a word. And the other thing that I thought was really cool is that you could especially the Motu audio interfaces, you can send CV out of the audio outputs on it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool for like sequencing your modular gear and stuff like that. That was
Reaper is pretty cool.
Yeah, but there's certain things about the interface that made me go absolutely fucking crazy. And it made me not like it at all. Like weird things like setting up loop points or just getting around on the transport was just like
I think what I'd like to see in the DAW sphere is that you get all these DAWs sort of like competing with each other on some level. It turns into this giant Venn diagram, and you still come across like Pro Tools people, who are like, that's still a thing. And then obviously there's like Cubase and Logic and all these. But I kind of almost feel like it's getting to that point where it partially matters what genre of music you're making, but I think it mostly matters what your workflow is. And I think the democratization of it is super cool, because that way it's not just like one linear DAW after another. If you want to use clips, you use Ableton. If you want to do, for me, I use Studio One just because it does all the things that I need in the way that I need them to, which is a little bit different than maybe having some cool creative workflow. But I think that that's cool. And I think that, Reason is a case in point. It is like super specialized and super unique, but really, really, really cool,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see sort of what the, I guess, what the developers put first. I almost feel like Reason is an instrument first, and it has a good built-in recorder. If you want to record things, Reason will let you, but it's sort of an instrument. And then Ableton is kind of, I don't know. I've used Ableton for a really long time, and I even though I use it for stuff that they for sure never thought of anybody using it for. It feels very much like a DJing tool that you can sort of whip into a music production environment if you want to. And I don't know, it's definitely interesting, to your point, to see like it's about how you're using them more than it is anything else at this point.
Yeah, it's like when I first started using Reason, which I think was version 3, so they didn't have recording built into it at all.
Right.
What I was doing was I had actually like recorded any vocals and stuff into Audacity, and then I split up each of those each like line of the song into separate files, and then I loaded them into Reason Sampler. And then I literally had it mapped to each key on my keyboard and just played back each vocal line that way. and then I would use that to affect it, because because I really like the effects in Reason. Yeah, I could do a lot of things with that, and I could modulate it into all kinds of weird shit with it. But that's what I was doing, and it was like real huge pain in the ass. But at the same time, it worked. But I think that, it's funny because there's so many, the DAWs are starting to become more and more alike. You look at how Logic started adding more Ableton features to it and stuff like that, and it reminds me of a friend of mine who does a lot of video editing, and he was jumping around between all the different applications for video editing. And in the end, he's like, they're all just fucking timelines. That's all they are, and in a way, in the end, most DAWs are just that. They're just timelines, right? They're just with the exception of things like when you go into the live remixing versions of Ableton and now in Logic and stuff like that, where you remove yourself from the timeline. But for the most part, we're doing a lot of linear work. when we're writing songs and stuff like that, and so we're recording things very linearly. So it doesn't really matter if you understand what a timeline is, then you're gold with whatever. I don't know, Christoph, what do you think about this stuff?
Well, I agree. 'Cause I don't like the remix part of Ableton. I'm because I started with Cakewalk 3, and so I just want an easy to use linear DAW that doesn't get in my way. And yeah, they're all basically the same. So I get that point. You just want something that works and doesn't get in your way. I understand that, like, if I was doing techno, I can totally see the beauty of Ableton and that kind of minimalism. But because I don't really do a lot of like short loops, it just annoys me. So I get that. I started using Reason back when it was called Rebirth. And then and then they came out with Reason 1, and so Jeff's interpretation is right. It's absolutely was instrument first, and there were ways in the PC world where you could kind of like map Reason into your DAW,
with Rewire,
but it wasn't to be DAW. Yeah, with Rewire, and they didn't really add the audio functions until later.
Yeah, like 5.
And I think by then they had quit using Reason. I was using it with a band. And then that band broke up, and we were able to exchange files until they added VSTs, and then we didn't have the same VSTs, so it just broke it for us. So I stopped using Reason, but I really liked it before then, when I knew like I could just carry my Reason files on a memory stick, and if I went to somebody's house and they had Reason, I could pick up and do work for an hour. And once I added the VSTs, that was gone. And it jumped the shark for me at that moment. But still, I do love that modular way of working, and that you can, flip the rack and you can wire things around. It's wonderful. And if it was cheaper, I would definitely own it.
It's one of the few examples that I can point to of skeuomorphism that really is, I think, actually much stronger for being such a representative, realistic. Like Ableton, on the other hand, is I don't know what the opposite of skeuomorphism is. It's like no morphism. It's just like here's a bunch of like flat gray nonsense, and I think it works well for being what it is. But I've always been impressed with how, I don't know, there's just something that just makes sense about like this cable goes from this place to this place. That works really well in Reason, and I think they've done it nicely.
I think it's the same appeal that modular synths have, in that it makes the abstract visual.
Absolutely.
Like Kurzweil can do a lot that a modular rig can do, but you're just mapping variables, and that's complicated. It becomes very abstract. If you put the wire here and here, your brain makes that connection, and it makes it easier to understand. And Reason,
also easier to remember. Because you can see it.
Because you can just see it, yeah. Like digging through like a complex, vast patch. It's like, wait, what are the functions doing here? What is this mapping? Yeah, it can get really difficult to break it down again. Whereas you can just see the wires. So yeah, I mean, it's very intuitive workflow. I mean, Reason's really groundbreaking in the sense that it made with that you could flip the wires and you could just wire it however you wanted. That didn't exist before Reason, and it was a great change.
Like,
and also before Reason, DAWs weren't really that modular until Sonar came out, which had like, you could map anything to anything, and you could have infinite effect chains. Before that, you were limited to the number of effects that you had, and number of inserts, and number of send buses. And then that came out to Cubase, and it's become a standard. But with Reason, you could just keep adding modules as long as your CPU could handle it.
My good old Porta Studio. Get your one effect.
Yeah.
Pick it wisely.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how these are, how these things play out and everything as far as the updates and everything like that. Reason I'm excited about BitWigg, I kind of after trying to do the stuff that we were doing with RPM Challenge through it, I just turned away from it, and it's pretty expensive for the subscription model.
I know someone that loves BitWigg, and for them it's kind of DAW as an instrument with lots of effects. And so they're like playing the DAW instead of it being more of like this track plays this instrument. So I can see, if you're into that environment, how it's really a thing.
Yep.
So you're saying the DAWs are becoming instruments and the instruments are becoming DAWs. This is great.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And they're all becoming sentient.
And then, yeah, and soon they will play us.
But where does the plug go?
Well,
Where does the audio plug go? I'm very worried.
be afraid. Be very afraid.
Ear hole.
Nice.
Andrew's wearing them now.
Exactly. So the Boss Metal Zone and Super Overdrive are turning 30 and 40 years old. And to commemorate it, Boss is releasing anniversary pedals. The Super Overdrive and the Metal Zone are wonderful distortion pedals. They make things sound deliciously gross. Yeah.
I tell you, though.
If anybody was watching, I would know I'd get hate mail for this, but I love the Metal Zone pedal. I know it's a completely cliche guitar sound, but for other things, it's great. It's a really good, multi-band distortion.
It sounds great on
and
snares.
I love the sound of it.
Yeah, the Metal Zone is awesome. And what was it? Maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, Boss Roland, Boss Roland, Uncle Boss Roland put out a video that I thought was really like very, very good. It was something like, "You have been using the Metal Zone wrong for 30 years," or something. It was something very provocative like that I thought was very good. But they gave a how-to on how to use the Metal Zone, and Christoph, I hear you, because like I don't know, I was like the teenage dirtbag who was like, yeah, it goes to 10, let's just turn it all the way up, and chugga chugga chugga, and like if you hear it enough times, you just like listen to your shitty riffs 1,000 times, you're like, that sounds just like Metallica. If you just keep playing it and you keep convincing yourself. But they did this video of how to use it the right way, and definitely because I for sure am not old enough to have been using this for that long, clearly. I was like, wow, for the last 2 or 3 years I've been using the Metal Zone wrong. But it was a funny moment because everybody uses it the same way. Everybody just dimes every knob on it and just like blasts it. But it can actually sound really good.
Is that the Scandinavian black metal pedal, or is that a different one? I know one of these pedals are used a lot in like Norwegian and Swedish black metal. I can't remember.
Yeah.
To the Google.
And it's also really good for like organ sounds. I mean, you could make good like synth swelling, ripping sounds with it. So I do love that pedal. Whereas the OD1, I think that's the circuit that everybody abuses the TB303 through.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
Oh, I see.
I hate that distortion so much. I can't believe anyone would ever buy that pedal. It's horrible, but I also hate acid and I hate the 303. So for me, terrible. But for other people, if you smoke a lot of pot, or if you're tripping, or you have no taste and you're into raving, then that's your pedal. Go get it and go put your bass station through it so it sounds like a 303, and you can wear your big pants, and you can dance like this with glow sticks.
Oh my gosh.
Why would you buy a bass station when you could just buy a 303 for half as much?
Well, because they were still making bass stations when they weren't making 303s for forever. Remember, it used to be like 303s, people were getting over 1,000 for them.
They still are.
Which is
They still are.
ridiculous because it's crap. So. Now, granted, you can do decent stuff with it, but it's really hard. It's almost always used terribly. And I understand the appeal of it is that it has a lot of knobs and you can modulate the same pattern for an hour because you're stoned out of your mind. But if you're not stoned, it's just terrible. And stop. I'm asking you to stop.
Wow. That was quite an anti-acid PSA.
Wow.
I like it.
So Christoph, I was going to send you some of my acid jams I've been working on, but maybe I won't now.
It was a great
Thanks.
TED Talk, Christoph.
I'm sorry, I just scared all the remaining 3 viewers we had away.
Yeah, now we have our bots left now.
The bots?
Now but now we'll get flooded with all the haters who just come in to trash me.
There we go. You'll get all the hate comments on our YouTube channel.
They do good stuff, though.
But yeah, I don't think the OD1 is a good distortion, but that other distortion's fantastic. That one and the Boss HM2 is a really good one, too.
Totally getting Christ off a super overdrive for his birthday.
Maybe that's the one.
One other thing about the MT32 pedal is that isn't that the one that they released the schematic for to say that was the chip in the COVID vaccine?
Yes.
Yeah. It was.
Yes, it was.
So it's like, yeah, it's going to turn us all metal.
Oh, wow.
Did y'all see that interview that I can't think of who was doing the interview, but it was with Bill and Melinda Gates. It was right before they announced their divorce. And the interviewer made some comment. It was the dumbest question, but the response was so good. The question was something like, Melinda Gates, what do you have to say about the allegations of Bill Gates putting a microchip in the COVID vaccine? And her response was like, Bill Gates has never said anything to me about putting a microchip in the COVID vaccine.
This is an error.
It was the worst.
It was so bad. She might as well have just gone.
Oh my gosh.
It was so bad.
Wink, wink.
I really love that was the schematic that got linked. And then Boss responded to it. Boss actually acknowledged the I guess the rumor, the thing on their Twitter or Instagram or something, which is very funny to me.
That's very.
Yeah, is that pedal still patented, or is Behringer coming out with a clone soon?
When did patents ever stop Behringer?
It's patented?
There are lots of other pedals that try to get that sound. The craft pedal market's like the craft beer market. There's like far more of it than you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the ones that you find that are really remarkable are super expensive. Mm-hmm. There's this pedal I've been lusting after for 1,000 years. This is not news, but
it's all right.
Off the rails. By a company called Czar. Mm-hmm. And if anybody ever wants to decide that you need to spend $1 billion on a distortion pedal, that's $1 billion. The Czar Open House, you know it's expensive because it's spelled OPENHAUS.
Oh yeah.
That raises the price at least 30% on it. It is hands down the best sounding distortion pedal I have ever heard. But Supercraft, impossible to get, comes in these comically industrial looking casings. I mean, it makes like the Critter and Guitar-y stuff that is just the bent painted metal look like a Lamborghini by comparison.
So it was formerly a spam can.
It is not that elegant, and it is definitely sturdier.
That reminds me of the guy that we see at KnobCon all the time, who built the built the modular synth out of tuna cans.
Oh yeah, the Goa coconut can guy.
He's actually on the Golden Shrimp Guild channel. He does do Twitch streams occasionally.
Wow.
Yeah.
That guy's. I thought his sets were fun.
Yeah, but still, I mean, the dude was walking around with like this thing strapped on his shoulder, and it's about 5 feet wide and 4 feet tall, and it's all homemade modules that instead of it being anything standardized, it's all old like cans of beans and stuff like that like empty cans that he's turned into, like fills them all with electronics and stuff to build these modules.
He's the kind of dude that if he told you he was a hunter-gatherer, you'd be like, right,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Looks like he lives on a beach.
It's easy to fly with that.
Yeah, I would imagine he pulls up in a VW bus with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's just a feeling I get.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah. So yeah, Humble Bundle, or as it was in the base camp, the Humble Bumble.
Yep.
Humble Bundle as a wonderful software and sample collection bundle, including our friends Cherry Audio, who should start sponsoring us any day now because we bring them up every week. Cherry Audio Voltage Modular Ignite in the DC-106. So this is
quite a bargain.
Yeah, you can get it for $1.
Well, no, you can't get these. There's different levels to this humble bundle.
Right. Okay, so $35 will get you a whole shitload of stuff.
I think even 30 will get it for you.
Yeah.
So you'd get the DC-106, which already costs, I think, $29, and then the Voltage Ignite, which I think is $50 or $100, and you'd get both for $30.
Yeah.
And that's a good modular setup.
And a boatload of sample libraries for everything from...
And you'd be supporting a charity.
Yeah, everything from ambient to trap to funk. I love that they have the Surrealistic MG1 Plus, which is a lovely piece of Cherry audio gear. Sample packs for like trip hop and everything. Jeez Louise.
What about acid?
I'm looking right now, and I think because Christoph sent this to us, I think that he made sure this was a acid-free sample pack.
He hacked the website.
He did. He removed every side of it. Absolutely.
There is a Neurobase collection.
There is indeed. Yep. So kind of
I
close.
don't know what that is.
There's a
I'm
tough
not
break cyberpunk, but yeah, they've so far have raised with this bundle alone $38,163.34 for charity. So yeah.
So if you were thinking about buying the Voltage Ignite or Cherry, you could do so now. Support a charity, and I think this runs out in like 8 hours.
16 hours and 23 minutes. I just hit the checkout button here.
Okay.
So I'm buying it right now. There we go. Keep talking. Yeah. I'm trying to buy this.
But yeah, so that Voltage Ignite, I mean, there's really good modules with it. You can get a free version of this modular setup, but this gives you more modules, and more modules is more better.
Right.
Obviously. Yeah.
That is the way of things.
Yeah. But yeah, it's high quality. It's fun. So it's a bargain, and this company just keeps putting out synth after synth at a low price, and there may not be spot on emulations, but they're usable, they're good, and here they're supporting a charity. So this is like a company that is like giving us the warm feels, kind of like Synthstrom does every week when they do something else that's amazing as a human being. Just make us feel adequate. Jerks.
Yeah.
But no, good for them. And so I just thought everybody should know about this package.
Yeah, this is a fantastic package. And I know fantastic packages.
I can't wait for this stream to turn into a live acid techno stream in the next 10 minutes. Andrew's like over there like downloading.
I'm currently programming.
What was that really popular software like in the early 2000s that like had all the acid stuff? It was software that had a TB303 emulator, had like a TR606.
Yeah, that's Rebirth.
Okay.
Yep, propeller heads. That's the grandfather of Reason.
Yep.
Right.
And originally, it was modifications that turned the sounds into other drum machines. You would get these mods, and then they made it kind of official where you could slip through the different mods.
Yep.
And then they came out with Reason, and they killed it, and they never should have. So.
I didn't know that. Okay, well, you were talking earlier, and I thought you were saying something else because I don't have speakers, so I'm getting my audio through HDMI, so it sounds like garbage. So
I would recommend headphones.
Yeah, I know.
They're quite handy.
I use this little Linux setup. I literally did it right before the show. I realized I need speakers.
I love that. I gotta say, so I'm gonna go off here in a little bit. So I picked up the incredibly overpriced Apple AirPod X, whatever they're called. I think they're AirPod X, the over-the-ear
Super Mega Pro.
Yeah, the over-the-ear Apple noise canceling headphones. And I have got to say, I have never had a better pair of headphones. They sound so fucking good. And when you're flying in an airplane full of screaming children and you push the noise canceling headphones button on it and everything disappears, and you don't have to listen to any music to appreciate how wonderful this is.
That is cool.
I mean, it's pretty incredible. They'd have Dolby Atmos, so when you're watching movies and stuff like that, it sounds really good. They have this whole thing now with like if you're watching a movie on an iPad, you turn it on to a certain mode. When you turn your head, it sounds like the audio is coming from the iPad.
That's cool.
Which is just kind of bizarre. I'm not sure exactly what the purpose of that is, other than just like it sound like it's coming from your iPad, but it's kind of neat. But yeah, best pair of headphones I've ever had. They're more comfortable than these. These are pretty comfortable. I can wear them all day without any issues. 21-hour battery life. Yeah.
All right. So what kind of connection?
Bluetooth, and you can also get a Lightning to 1/8 inch adapter.
Okay, and when you have a Lightning to 1/8 inch adapter, are you getting latency from that adapter?
Nope.
Okay.
No, actually, when they were talking about like the lossless stuff, and that's like you can do the lossless through that adapter without any kind of latency or anything like that. It's actually because I was using that. I ended up using those headphones to record the ambient track out and on the Deluge. I was using those, and there was absolutely no latency from what I was playing and from what I was hearing.
Yeah, that's the bane that Gaz Williams always complained about when they got rid of the 1/8 inch jack.
Yeah.
It was like, but that was years ago. I'm sure they've sorted that out.
Yeah, because when I use Bluetooth, I get about a half second of latency, which means I can't play anymore.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Yeah.
And honestly, you shouldn't be. I mean, you don't use Bluetooth when you're playing an instrument, kind of thing, in a way. Bluetooth 5 is a lot better with the latency, and they're doing a lot of little tricks and stuff like that with it, but it's still not there. And I don't know if it ever will be until they actually like change the entire Bluetooth technology to be lower latency. But it's kind of like using Wi-Fi to do things. It's not a good idea. So I bought the Humble Bundle. So thanks for posting that, and I just I have contributed to the charity, and I'm looking.
I will probably buy it as well.
I'm looking forward to making some acid techno tracks with Christoph.
Christoph's in,
right?
Yeah, they're going to sound a lot like John Cage.
Oh, are we gonna do our cover of 4 minutes 14 seconds?
Yeah.
Perfect.
433.
Sorry.
Yeah,
433.
I super want to do a bunch of covers of that.
Did you know that?
And do like a trap cover of 433
Totally.
and upload all of these to Spotify, and just have tons of covers of it, and see how that
Hey, guess what? I just finished my RPM challenge.
So a few years ago, Mute Records put out a bunch of covers of 433.
Oh, I didn't
Best label for that. Yeah.
And it was a very limited edition for obvious reasons. But if you go, you can look on YouTube and watch Liebock's video they made for 433.
That's fine.
Because the thing to to all of our bots that are listening to us right now that might not understand 433 is 433 is a piece of music by John Cage where the pianist, because it's a piano piece, is instructed to close the lid and sit there for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. A lot of people misunderstand it to be it's supposed to be silence, but it's not. It's supposed to be everything that's going on in the room. Hearing all those things and realizing that all of this is musical and stuff like that. So it's not silence. It's just open air. And I have a book that's literally like a 200-page analysis of 433.
My gosh.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised you have that book.
But Andrew's completely right.
You're one of the few people I know who in high school listened to music concert.
Yep. And I liked it.
I definitely got something out of 433. I remember the first time that I was exposed to it, and I don't know it's one of those things where if you don't know what it is, you don't know what you're going into. I was exposed to it in a music class that I was taking in high school, and I remember the teacher put it on for us, and and you have this moment of I don't know, it's incredible how much of an emotion it elicits from you. And I remember people were mad at it, and people were upset by it, and thinking, like, oh, that's not anything. But the amount of conversation that it provoked and the amount of reaction that it elicited it's I don't know, it's striking. That's the entire point of art, I guess. But
well, to some, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, to people who know what art means.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So John Cage and Carl Stockhausen both really got people super angry. And Stockhausen really got the musicians working for him to storm out in protest, just furious. And I don't think anybody really caused that much anger until Non in the 70s.
Well, I mean, when I remember Non would he was something else.
Who would get physically attacked by the audience, which was viewed as pure performance art success.
Well, you know what? Yeah. But at the same token, though, like Stravinsky, when he first did the Rite of Spring, people got violent when they first saw the performance of the Rite of Spring. They literally were like throwing shit at the stage. They got into fist fights. They were running out in the streets. They fucking rioted over the Rite of Spring. Because it was so like that it sounded really pretty, and all of a sudden it goes a dun 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 dun, that whole that dissonant string punch and stuff like that, and it irritated people apparently, and it just it pissed people off so much they ran out the door, and they were fucking beating the shit out of each other. But I mean the premiere of it was just kind of a slap in the face. So yeah, is my recollection of 433 correct in that in one of the performances they did the silence and then they played back the recording of the room sound to demonstrate what it was? Yeah, that was 866. It was a remix.
Yeah. The remix. Wait, is there a Bumscut remix too?
If there's a remix, Bumscut has done it.
Is there a DJ Hell?
That's for sure.
Yeah, right? Yeah, right, job. Dan Kushner, thanks for hanging out with us. Sorry about the latency. Blackpool, hello. Go buy the Humble Bundle because it's great. So yeah, but yeah, I think that it would be interesting is to find a book that just has a history of things that pisses people, music that piss people off to that point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And not music that pisses people off by being bad. It's not like Britney Spears or
or pissing people off because your intention is to piss people off, but it's just it's just a reaction that happened. I mean, okay, non kind of pisses people off, just to piss people off.
Well, yeah. There's there's the Kiss Disco album that pissed a lot of people off. There's the Sex Pistols tour of the Deep South that pissed a lot of people off.
There's when Dylan went, when Dylan went electric, that pissed a lot of people off.
Yep, and when YouTube put their album on everybody's devices against their will.
Oh yeah, that pissed a lot of people off too.
It was so hard to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's it'd be kind of an interesting thing. I'm reading a book right now about the history of Black Mountain College, which was a college in near Asheville, North Carolina, that was started by one of the founders of the Bauhaus movement back in the day after he ran out of Nazi Germany. And it was this non-accredited, really weird college of and John Cage was there, teaching and lecturing, and Buckminster Fuller was there building geodesic domes with the students and coming up with a lot of these weird things and stuff like that. So, but it's a fascinating history and getting those people together. And it's funny because there's pictures of them putting on plays. And if you ever seen what Buckminster Fuller looks like, he's just this little balding dude with really thick glasses and stuff like that. And if you hear him talk, he has this really thick Massachusetts accent. And him and John Cage are in weird plays and stuff. And I really wish I could find audio from that or even some film of it, because that would just be really cool. But yeah. But yeah, Black Mountain College there's a museum for it, but I mean the college died a number of years ago. It just fell apart.
Do they still have the geodesic domes?
No. No, but the next time you come out here, Christoph, I will take you to a geodesic dome here in near Cleveland.
Thank you, because I am obsessed with geodesic
I
domes.
am as well, and if you Google search the American Society of Metals, go to their website and see what their headquarters looks like. That's the place, and that's.
I think I've seen photos of you there.
Yeah, that's the yeah. I go there once in a while and take pictures. That's where Missile Command used to go and do all of our band photos, because it looks like the 1960s version of the future, and I love it. And it's a Bucky dome. It's fantastic. So while that's going on,
that was quite a tangent.
I know, right? Yeah. Whee!
Points.
Ding! You should have contests for that kind of thing. So let's see here. The Hammerhead Rhythm Station getting an update after 24 years, maybe. So, Christoph, you brought this one up.
Yep. So I knew a lot of people that just loved this thing. It was a little bit like Recycle, where it basically had loops that were cut up, and then you could program them the way you wanted in this like drum machine interface. And back in the 90s, when I was born, it was
late 90s.
Very late.
So it was really popular. Yeah, it was like mid to late 90s. This was really popular. Oh, wrong one. Let me put this here. But yeah, so it came with the funky drummer loop, and this was around the time that loop was getting really popular. And yeah, so I knew a band, NCC, they used the hell out of it, and a lot of bands just used to use this thing. They really liked the interface. Had a real cult following, and then it never really got updated and died. And then it's just rising out of the ashes for some reason now.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like the interface.
Yeah.
It's very funny when stuff like that pops back up and gets attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting though, because I'm super involved in the sort of vintage computer world, and what's interesting about that is that we think about software as maybe more disposable, right? You don't really think that, hey, I can't wait to get a hold of my vintage software, unless you're running it on a vintage gaming or vintage computer platform. But it's just kind of interesting. To me, I would like to see Native Instruments Pro 53 come back. Wasn't there Pro 53?
Yeah.
I think that was the Prophet 5 emulator. And I could be misremembering this, but that thing sounded friggin' awesome.
For the time, it certainly did.
Right.
There have been more accurate Prophet 5 emulations since then, but still it was really good, and it was weird that it got dropped. And, Native Instruments has discontinued a lot of things, but that one was a big loss for a lot of people. And I really liked that. So.
They sucked it into something. I don't know if it was Monarch or one of their other synths. They took the source code and incorporated it into one of them. But
not Monarch. Monarch is a Moog clone.
That's the mono synth, right? Yeah.
So
I forget what one of their flagship multi-purpose synths, but I mean, at that point, like, you're not going to be able to elicit the same sounds unless you know exactly what you're doing. So.
Yeah.
I'm
feeling that they just discontinued it because they had a license to put it out with Dave Smith, and that probably had a time limit.
Well, just like Rebirth with Roland. Is a similar kind of thing, because I know that Rebirth came back on iPad for a while, and then Roland started going after them because they're like, we're going to make this the whatever their cloud, the Roland Cloud thing. And like, now you can't do this anymore, and so they had to shut it all down.
Oh, Zen Beats, yeah.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. Fucking hate Roland.
I have to say, the Roland software that they use, their cloud manager software, is literally the buggiest piece of garbage I've ever encountered in my entire life. So, way to go,
So it feels
Roland.
like a Roland.
Yeah.
I will say, ZenBeats is a pretty powerful setup, but I think you need to pay. You have to subscribe to it to unlock the features that you really want. It's like, I'm very happy with Caustic, but there's things Caustic can't do, and I'm confident I could probably do them with ZenBeats, but I dislike the interface, and I don't want to pay for it. And I just also hate the subscription model so very, very much that I'm not.
Yes.
I don't want to support companies that are going subscription only.
subscription models make me. I think the rational amount of anger for a subscription model is very high.
Now,
it's like. I don't know where exactly you would pin the rational amount of anger.
It's somewhere between arson and murder.
Yeah, and
like
with that said,
arson, it's below murder, but not by a lot.
It's not like you're putting
like a click, one click down. And with that said, subscription models for music instruments make me irrationally angry.
Me too.
I mean, can you imagine? I'm gonna let me come up with the dumbest and worst example that I can imagine here. You've got a flute, and you have to subscribe to the air to play the flute. And I mean, like that's how dumb and bullshit this sounds to me. When somebody's like, "You've got this instrument, subscribe to the noise that it makes," it's like, that's not an instrument, dummy. That's you've just created a terrible exploitative model for people to fall into. It's so annoying.
I think that.
Oh, you mean like having to rent band equipment when you're in high school?
Yeah, right.
Awful. Rent.
I think that there's a right way and a wrong way to do the subscription model, and I think that the wrong way of doing the subscription model is what we see most of. And that's like how Adobe does the subscription model, where it's like, you get the software. Fuck you. That's all you get.
Yes.
But then I see things like, because like Studio One, PreSonus has a subscription model with Studio One right now, but they keep giving you shit. And they're even like, if you stop subscribing to us, this stuff is still yours. You still get it. You still get to keep it. You don't get the updates, but you still get to keep this kind of thing. And I like that because, and then there's also a whole like back end community aspect to it that you get as well. And you get they give you a whole lot of stuff, which is actually pretty nice of them. I think that, you couldn't get without that subscription model. Is it perfect? No. Would I rather not have to pay a subscription? Yeah, I would rather not have to pay a subscription. But at the same time, if it's value added, then it's I can see that a little bit better. At the same token, though, I bought a Deluge for, $600 on Reverb, and I'm getting value added with every software update for free.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help but think that there are MBAs behind this, not musicians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that you look at probably the sort of trends in development, which is this constant iterative cycle. Where in that model, it makes sense from a business standpoint to do it this way.
Yeah.
Because you're not like spending years and years making your Lord of the Rings film, and then you release it and it's fantastic and everyone goes to see it. That just isn't a thing anymore,
Well, here's the difference. So I think it works. I think this came from like the the business software environment where it's like, oh, we'll do subscription models because we've locked them in. They're screwed.
Yep.
But with musicians, we don't have to buy your software. We can get hardware. We can go without you. We have other options. In business, you have no other option. You've got to have Windows, or you've got to have Word or Microsoft Access, and we don't. We can go buy a Deluge, or we can go get a Hive or a Wave State. We've got other options. So, I think but Andrew brings up a good point. There is a right way to do the subscriptions. So it's like, what's Ableton cost now? Like $600 for the studio version. So
something like that, yeah.
If you make it so that if you're subscribing over the course of years, you're paying less than you would to constantly upgrade, then that would totally make sense. And then that way you can go to this faster development model where you're rolling out features like Adobe Cloud instead of just major update. Everybody's got to buy their upgrade thing again or not. Because that constant upgrade cycles also, it's difficult to deliver on, and that's going to come up later when we talk about native instruments.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And I think that's really the thing. I mean, the business stuff kind of like with like Microsoft Office and stuff like that, and I'm here often going on tangents, or even like Adobe and stuff. I see reasons why they did that kind of thing because they needed a way, especially with like people that are doing bring your own devices and stuff like that. They need a way to let these folks use a license, and then if and when they quit their job, they can revoke that kind of thing. And the subscription model works well for that.
Yeah. I feel like the ethical way to do a subscription model is sort of the thing that is closest to the magazine subscription model. Where nothing is taken away from you.
Yeah.
That's the part that I resent so much about the subscription model, is that you're continually feeding the beast for access. And in a lot of these cases, they have an outlay. There's sort of like a meter drop upfront outlay that you pay into, and then you pay the subscription cost on top. You subscribe to your National Geographics. Maybe you don't get the August 2021 National Geographic anymore, but you've got all of the 20 years previous. Like, you can always go read the other ones. And that's the thing that irks me about it, is when they're like, nope, we're going to take those away. Reading is illegal now. You can't have those anymore. And that sort of model in the business, or in the music software side, I think is a little frustrating.
And also for me, because I'm not a professional musician, I might not use it in my music stuff for like a couple months.
Yeah.
Because I'm busy with real life stuff. And if for shits and giggles, I just want to power something up for one night, I don't have to resubscribe, because I had an idea that's going to take me 20 minutes to jog down. So if I own something, then it's mine and I can use it whenever I want. And if I'm not going to use it for 2 years, it's fine. And it's not costing me anything. And that's the part that gets me. I understand the business case, but there's a better way to do it. And I think you've got a valid point with Studio One. If you stop getting your updates and you still have it, that's fine, and that's ethical. But with like these other models where you don't own it anymore, you can't use it. Nope.
Yeah, you're leasing your stuff at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lease. That's exactly it. It's lease versus subscribe.
And I want to be able to go back in like 10 years and open up a song I wrote 10 years ago and mess with it. And who's to say, when you have these subscription things, it's all transient. It might not be around anymore, or it might not be able to open up the old files, and that just becomes a mess with the licensing too.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
We talked about this last time, but the sort of IoT model of like having to talk to the mothership every time you boot up too is equally hobbling, right?
Yeah. Pro tip, kids at home: anytime you finish a project, always bounce out your multi-tracks. Always bounce your multi-tracks. Never, ever only have a MIDI file saved, or an Ableton project, or a Logic project, or whatever. Always bounce your multi-tracks or bounce down to stems, because the day will come, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one of these days you are going to super duper regret not having the audio files from some project that you've worked on.
True.
Year 2000 me believed that Sear Systems Reality was going to be the best synth ever, and I've migrated everything to that, and it's going to be around forever. It was voted the greatest synth of all time. Has anybody else ever heard of it by now? Exactly.
I've heard of it. I don't think I've heard of it in the context of it being the greatest synth of all time, though.
I think it was like Future Music or Sound on Sound. They said it, they're usable, greatest synth ever, and it had amazing specs. It did everything. It did sampling. It had whatever filter you wanted. You could get a 96 pole filter. You could do FM. It was amazing, and it only ran on Windows 98.
Yep.
Just like my computer.
Yeah.
It's Windows 98.
Just like my Westwood Blade Runner game.
That and your Fast Tracker too, yeah.
Breaking news, this just in. Roger Lynn's Linstrument just got a software update that just came out 2 minutes ago.
Oh.
Nice.
Those things look really cool.
I have one. I love it.
I've never used one.
I love it. I have one. It's a lot of fun. The biggest thing they put in there is custom light patterns. So nothing useful. All right, cool. Back to the news. Ladies and gentlemen, important news from our friends at Electron. They have added a tube that you can put batteries in for your model cycles and your model samples.
Man, why didn't they just make the Keytar module?
For $85, you too can get a battery tube. A tube for your batteries that doubles as a handle.
It does look like a very good handle.
It's beautiful. It's the best looking tube of batteries I've seen this morrow. for Is It Not the
It
Only
is
One?
a very extra medium looking handle.
And I love the fact that it still has a cable hanging off the side of the thing.
Yeah. I feel like this is one of those, what do they say, like, better to bake it in than bolt it on? Where you've got this case where I'm sure somebody in their marketing division is like, hey, why can't you do what those little rolling things can do? You know what I mean? Why can't you carry them around in your knapsack?
Yeah.
You know? Well, we'll make a battery for it.
So,
Yeah.
I owned both the model cycles and the model samples a little bit ago. And I sold them because I did not like them. Electron is a fantastic company. They make wonderful gear. They make stuff that you can wail on with your fucking ball sack until you're blue in the face. I'm not saying I've ever done that to any of the Electron gear that Justin has left here at my house.
Definitely not, never.
Definitely not his gear that he's left here. Remind me to wipe that off. And these things feel horrible. They're plastic. Okay, that's fine. I have gear that's plastic, but the little pads, the main interfaces feel terrible.
But Andrew, it came with stickers.
I know, and you put stickers on it, and it's great. But oh my!
And a very quirky box, from what I can tell.
Cool, like was her name Jade Wee, who does a lot of the cool stuff, but she does a lot of beatbox reviews and stuff. But
Jade Wee's great.
She's got the Adventure Time stickers, I think, on some of her stuff. That's what we needed.
But they're plasticky, they're finicky. I didn't really click with them. They didn't feel nice. They oversimplified the Electron workflow to the point where it just didn't feel usable anymore. It's like it's one thing if you were like if you really wanted something like that and you wanted to break into Electron stuff and you couldn't afford a Digitact, then I can see going this route. But
it's neither fish nor fowl though, Andrew. And I think that's the problem. If you price something in a mid-range like this, it's not cheap enough to be something that is super accessible to say like myself when in high school or college with that much money, versus a situation where you're going to spend on an Octatrack or something in the high end. I feel like it was. And I could be wrong about this, but I don't think they shifted a lot of these units is what I'm trying to say.
I think the thing is that like it was kind of a solution looking for a problem. Because a lot of kids were just holding on to saving their pennies and buying a Digitact. And the Digitact is a fantastic piece of gear. It's a wonderful piece of gear. It is it's a Swiss Army knife. And it's a couple $100 more bucks, and you get a Swiss Army knife of music production and live jammability, and it's just fun to play with. These things aren't fun to me. I mean, and this is just my opinion, of course. In my opinion, that and $5 will get you a couple of Starbucks. But
I still have my samples because I'm a drum machine hoarder and I have a problem. Hello, my name is Justin and I have a drum machine problem. But I feel similarly about it. I would say though, if I was taking a trip where I wasn't worried about something borderline expendable getting nicked or exploding, I guess. See, I'm still rationalizing.
Yeah, I see what you're doing there.
Yeah.
But I got rid of the machine drum, which was probably the dumbest thing
I know, because they just released a firmware. Someone released a firmware update for it.
I know. I really loved the crunchy PCM drums in that thing.
And the machine gun-like stability.
For our live sets, it didn't make sense. So I guess I'm glad I got rid of it.
Yeah.
I never really could understand the model cycles and the model samples. Like I didn't really. I read up on them a little bit when I was buying the analog rhythm. I looked at them. I was looking at the entirety of the Electron line and trying to find sort of like the right drum machine because I wanted an analog drum machine, and it was cool that it did sampling on top. And I wanted something that had the performance pads and some other stuff to it. But I just kind of went and was looking at them, and they were kind of incomprehensible to me, honestly. Not in the like I can't understand how to use this device, but I think to your point, Andrew, of it being sort of a solution in want of a problem, I was kind of looking at it and going like, I don't know what this is for, especially with the model like was the cycles. It's a kind of a groove box, but it's kind of an FM thing, and it's kind of very fixed, but it's a little flexible, and it seemed like one of those instruments where if you wanted to make music that sounded like the thing, it was great for you. But if you wanted to make anything that did not sound like that thing, it was not your jam.
Yeah. Kind of like the TB303, right, Christoph? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so if you want to make a bunch of acid,
it looks like a poor man's DX200. Or is that the one I'm thinking of? The Yamaha FM groove box that they put out that was FM? Or I'm trying to remember what the name of that was.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know.
Put it out, I think around 2001, 2002. They're worth so much more than they were originally put out for. Because it was, I think it was I'm trying to remember if it was the DX7 inch. I know it had 6 operators, but I don't remember if it had the additional waveforms. But it also had a powerful groove box, and it had it tried to make FM programming easier, so it was really kind of ahead of its time for a while. But FM's still hard. It didn't sell that well. It didn't have like a big run, and then it jacked up in the used market quite a bit. So I had one in one of my bands, and my bandmate sold it out from underneath me, and he gave me half of what he paid for it, but I'll never be able to buy it again for what I originally paid for it. So that's always made me upset. Yeah, but I do have other FM sense, and I shouldn't whine about it.
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I hope they sell a ton of them. I hope they sell a ton of tubes for your batteries. And Electron also did update their transfer software for folks that use Electron gear. Their transfer software is basically, it's kind of like a file manager and librarian for most of the Electron gear except the Octatrack, because the Octatrack was programmed by aliens.
Those go for about $300 each, right?
The Octatracks?
No, the Electron, the model. And
they're about $300 a piece.
So I keep going back to, I'm blown away to find out that you got your Deluge for $600. Yeah. Just like if you could get a Deluge instead of those two things, you'd have so much more power.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I do think But
of course, the going price of the Deluge is a lot higher than that. So Andrew found a incredible deal.
Someone needed to buy crack or something.
Yeah.
There is that, and then I do think related to what I was saying, like I was saying it a bit, I don't know, like I was probably saying it a little bit disparagingly, honestly, but if you want to make music that sounds like the model samples or the model cycle sounds, you're going to have a difficult time doing that on a Deluge. Right. And, you know what I'm saying? So for I think that's the thing. For me, it probably feels like a problem in need of a solution because it isn't what I want. Like I have this room full of crap and boxes of other crap sitting in the other room, like that's not even in use at this point. And I think for the person who hears something that it's made and is like, yeah, I want to do that, then there's a real value in it. Because it's so natively designed around the ideas that make that kind of music. But yeah, I mean, to your point, Christoph, the Deluge is for sure 1,000 times more versatile and more powerful. But like I have this SP404, and that's kind of where I'm going with this thing is like I have this SP404. It is not powerful. It does not, there's
but it has a workflow. And that's but it has a workflow, and that's what you're buying with that SP404 is that intuitive workflow that unleashes your creativity in a way that a more powerful sampler like an S5000 won't.
And a sound too, right? Like the SP,
it's a lo-fi.
SP sounds like an SP.
It's that lo-fi effect that everybody wants.
And
I get that. So I was unfair to the modal stuff. All right, I'll take that.
Well, I don't know that it's unfair, but it's just I don't think it's unfair at all. Actually, it's just it's another side of it, right? So for somebody who's looking for a powerful sampler or for a comprehensive FM device, it's for sure not that thing.
Yeah.
For somebody who likes the thing that it is, it might be ideal.
Yeah,
well, I
like
just
for
feel
some
like it's not cheap enough to be entry level.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna buy something like this, by all means buy the Digatone or the Digatac, because what you're getting is exponentially more.
Yeah.
You're getting
that makes
you're getting a brain for the rest of your studio. As you evolve as you discover and learn more about how stuff works, and as you want to grow, these things grow with you. And I think that's really the big deal to me. And I think that's really the value added to things like the Digatac, the Digatone, that kind of stuff. That's what makes it worth the money, is that when you outgrow the model samples or the model cycles, you're going to sell them, or they're going to sit in the corner and collect dust. Whereas the Digatac and the Digatone, the Digatac especially, you got 8 MIDI channels. Now you have an 8-channel MIDI sequencer that you know how it works because you know how the Digatac works, and it works the same way, and it will make your gear do the same weird shit that the Digatac does because of of how Electron's brilliant sequencing works.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense, and especially if you are willing to or interested in buying used, the difference between buying a Digatac and a used Digatac and a new model whatever thingamajig, the difference in price is probably relatively minimal, and the difference in capability is striking.
Absolutely. I'm just typing. I'm seeing that. Yeah, you're looking at the Digatacs are still. I mean, they have a pretty good resale value. I'm see the cheapest one right now, $695.
Yep. A lot of the Electron gear holds the value. I'm not. I generally wind up buying new gear because I find a lot of times it's the value that it's holding is so close to the MSRP. That you don't often really save that much, and if you buy pretty frequently from a place, I think my dude at Sweetwater has me on speed dial at this point. But if you buy pretty frequently from a place, you wind up not really losing a lot. But I looked at those, and I looked at the analog rhythm when I bought it, and I think for somebody who does wind up buying one of them and doesn't like it, you probably do recoup most of your money,
which is good. But I don't know I don't know. I'm going to take a look on Reverb now and type in the model cycles and see what those are going for nowadays, because I'm kind of curious. They're like used starting at $250, new at $22.99. So those are kind of holding up as well. Some people are trying to sell them for $400. Crazy. Anyway.
Are those inside the U.S.? I see those prices sometimes, and I look and then I go, oh, it's in Italy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's probably
it's
it's Australian money. Okay,
Yeah.